everybody. Hello everybody. My name is Mary Lepo, and this is our second tea talk here. Got my tea on the chakras. So this week, all of my yoga classes are going to focus on the second chakra, also known as the Svadhisthana. Hopefully I said that right. In Sanskrit, chakra, also known as the sacral chakra. Okay. So just like it sounds, the sacral chakra is in the sacral region of the spine and the body. If you see from my tapestry person up here, I'll just come over here for a moment and get off my bolster. So last week we did the root chakra. It vibrates red. That was right here. This week, the second chakra vibrates orange. So it's this region right here. So right about here, think about right between the navel and the pubic bone area from the front body. And so we've got the sacrum. This is the sexual organs, lower intestines, the bladder, the kidney, the bowel, men and women's sexual organs. So we hopefully know what those are. If you do not know what those are, send me a message after you watch this video and I will explain them to you. You can also Google them. Just make sure you're looking at the right resources when you do that. Color, we talk about orange. The sound that the second chakra vibrates is VAM. So V-A-M. So it sounds like this. Just like that, V-A-M. And then the element is water. So this is a very watery region of the body. So it's very liquid, very flowy, very fluid. And if you think about it from a sexual organ perspective, that makes a lot of sense. Both of them create or expel fluid. Same thing with the urinary system that's governed by the second chakra. The kidneys produce urine as they filter toxins from the body, and then it empties that into the bladder, and then the bladder releases that through the urethra and out of the body. So in foods, so just like last week, we talked about red foods. So we've got orange foods here as well. That can be carrots, oranges, sweet potatoes, anything like that. Also water, liquids. Liquids being mainly warmer or hot liquids. So like the tea that I'm drinking, for example, is that. The big jug you see me carrying around sometimes at classes with all the water in it. We've got that. Sadly, that does not include adult beverages like wine and cocktails. Also doesn't include things like soft drinks and sugary beverages like that, just so you know. Nuts and seeds, fish and seafood. So again, there's a lot of fish and seafood that have the orange color to them. So shrimp, lobster, some crab, salmon. I think there's some other types of red fish that are out there that would certainly fall into that category as well, and fermented foods. So I am not a hugest fan of fermented foods, but that's like kombucha, kefir, things like that. Another word that I probably totally butchered, but that's okay. So stones and crystals, I did make a point to put it on here this week and remember it. So stones and crystals of the second chakra are very similar, if not oftentimes the same as those that we do work with in the first chakra. So last week, I showed you carnelian. It has a reddish-orange color to it. We also have red jasper, which I'll kind of show you just a little bit here. Also has a reddish, orangey, sometimes a little pink quality to it. Most of the time, if the stone is red or orange in nature, you can work the second and first chakra with it. There are some stones that have no red or orange color in them that are also good for the first and second chakra as well. But if you want to know more about that, send me a note and I will give you another book recommendation. Breath and pranayama. So some of the similar same ones that we did with the root chakra last week. So equal part breath is always a good one to ground. So, you ground and then you work your way up. The alternate nostril breathing, where we close off one nostril, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, and go through that. The Ujjayi Pranayama, that ocean breath, also known as victorious breath. So that's the aha breath. So as you inhale through the nose, mouth is closed, you're making an ah sound, AH, like this. Hopefully you could hear that. Doesn't sound real pretty, but then the exhale is the ha sound, so the HA sound. So you're making that sound, forcing the air out through the nose, even though the mouth is closed. So it sounds like this. So it's very, very audible if you're properly engaged. Some people are louder than others. Please don't judge yourself by how well you're doing it. But theoretically, if you're in a class, you should be able to hear your neighbor. Your neighbor should be able to hear you. And then we've also got inhaling through the mouth, exhaling through the nose. We don't always think about it that way, but we can inhale through the mouth, exhale through the nose. Good. So that's a nice second chakra breath. Positive attributes, you're going to have good, typically sexual and reproductive health. Creativity, movement. So kind of think about the saying, my freedom is aligned with universal flow. So, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. Stable relationships. You can experience pleasure. And that doesn't always have to mean sexual pleasure. It's just pleasure in general. This is a chakra that is highly governed by emotions and reactivity and things like that. So that can be any kind of pleasure. For example, we had a party at my house yesterday with wine clubbers. There was a lot of pleasure in that, just being in the company of others and those people that we have not seen since March 2020. That was the first time we'd all been together since March 2020, that last lockdown. So there was a lot of pleasure in all of us getting together. So like I said, it doesn't always have to be sexual. Healthy change. So you change in a healthy way, not an unhealthy way. And empathy, feeling empathy, picking up and reading the emotions of others. So for example, if I'm sitting or teaching a yoga class and I see someone that looks like they're just really, really fidgeting or like whatever, I'm going to assume they've got something internally going on, an internal battle, usually an emotional one, and they're trying to deal with that in that moment. So I'm probably going to kind of come over to them and give them a few comforting words and tell them that it's okay and they're in a safe space. Or if I see somebody wince in a class, that probably tells me that most likely they've gone past their zone, their limit, and I'm probably going to tell them, okay, I need you to back off just a little bit, or take a break for right now and just breathe, grab a drink of water, grab your towel. Or, you just pick up on people, you just kind of know they're sad or something's going on. They walk into the room and the whole aura and feeling of that room changes. So we can pick up on that through empathy. Negative attributes. Well, just like with root chakra, you're going to have some relationship issues, sexual and reproductive issues. So that might be cancer. It might be some other things that are going on. We can spend hours talking about those kinds of issues. So I'm going to just say issues in general. Talk about reproductive cancers. For some people, that might be a decrease in sexual activity and desire than what's normal for you. For other people, that might be an increase in sexual partners. So they're not really practicing a monogamous, stable relationship. They're kind of going all over the place there. Overly emotional, you just outburst and cry for seemingly no reason. SI joint and pelvis issues. So SI joint instability, which I do struggle with from time to time, is a second chakra issue. Pelvic issues, well, it kind of goes in there too because the SI joint connects to the pelvis. And low back issues. So these are all related because the sacrum is the lower part of the spine, right? The last fused bones. So all of those are connected. And even though low back issues is part of a first chakra issue as well, this is sometimes where we start to get into the crux and the meaty part of what's going on there. It's really hard for you to ground in the first chakra, stay still, sit still, stand still, if you've got a lot of low back pain and different things going on. So that's kind of where it is. Poses, hip openers, because you can have tight hips in the second chakra issues. Flow-based yoga, my favorite, yeah. Bridges, triangle pose, cat-cow, pelvic tilts. We don't do pelvic tilting too much in yoga, but those of you that do Pilates mat work with me especially will know about pelvic tilting when we talk about and do pelvic clock. So that's second chakra work. And then meditations or affirmations. So this is also the creativity center, the movement. So I am creative. I am passionate. It doesn't have to, again, it doesn't always have to be sexual passion. It can be, I am passionate about XY issue or passionate about ABC hobby. So any kind of passionate that you find, or passion, I totally butchered that when that came out. Or maybe I am empowered to manifest abundance from within. I am empowered to manifest abundance from within. So if your first chakra needs are met, then you can move on and open that up and manifest that abundance from within. Other things that I have written down on my paper here that I didn't have room for on my whiteboard, I have healthy boundaries. I am able to give and receive pleasure, whatever that means to you. I can go with the flow. I love and enjoy my body without judgment, which I think is one of the hardest things for people because we're in a very looks-oriented society that everyone's under pressure. You need to look a certain way. You need to behave a certain way. That sort of thing. So that's, again, it's taken me a long time to get there. I'm certainly not at my thinnest. But, one day at a time and, healthy, moving, free flow body. The other thing I want to mention here that I don't have up there, and I will post shortly to my Facebook page underneath this Facebook Live recording. So the second chakra can be very intense for a lot of people. And the reason why it can be very intense for a lot of people is because a lot of people carry a lot of trauma in this region, whether that's from, a low back injury, a hip injury, maybe you're someone who has had hip replacement surgery. Maybe it's something, more emotionally traumatic, like sadly some sexual abuse or an emotional abuse, something like that. So if you find yourself struggling right now with those kinds of things or anything else, I am not a licensed counselor or psychologist, so I cannot help you there so much or give you advice, but I will post some resources under this video after I'm done. So if you do need help with those things, talking it out, coming up with strategies, different things like that to help you cope, I hope that you will seek out those resources and get the help that you need. That being said, that is all I have for you for the second chakra setting up for this week for all of my yoga classes, yin and flow. And I hope you enjoyed this. We'll continue to do these little tea talks every week as a flow in, lead into all of these chakras on this 7-week journey. And I hope to see you in class on Zoom or sometime soon. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.